I do too.
Hey, I'm T.A. Charlie, and welcome to The Road to Concord with Professor Joe Bakanovic. Homeroom is on Rumble. You just go to Rumble and search the channels for The Road to Concord. It's one word. When you find it, you go ahead and you click follow. It might mean you got to set up an account, but it's fast, it's easy, it's free. I did it, you can do it. For those technologically challenged members of the class, you can also catch us on Facebook and YouTube. After the show, it's uploaded to Podbean, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and BitChute. Just look for The Road to Concord. You can go to the blog page, that's theroadtoconcord.com. That's where you'll find all your show notes, study notes, and handouts for the class. The phone is working. If you don't know how to call in, email us and we'll think about it. Finally, you can email a professor at joe@theroadtoconcord.com. He's a little slow, but he'll eventually get around to emailing you back. This show is currently mainly listener-sponsored. If you are interested in advertising your business on the show, please email us. With that said, we ask for your participation on a value-for-value basis. If you find our show of value to you, then you provide an equivalent portion of your labor and treasure through the donate link on the Road to Concord blog page, the show description on Rumble, and in the comments on the other streams. And thank you to all of you who have and will support this show.
Good morning. Monday, September 8th, 2025. It's a Manic Monday, sort of, kind of. Welcome to the Road to Concord. I am your professor. I don't self-profess professor. Now, that moniker was stuck on me by one of your classmates there, who I have not seen check in yet today. Hopefully he's there. I did go to the Facebook page and make sure that the link was actually up on the front of the feed, so that you should be able to find it. But Facebook, for some reason, unbeknownst to me or anybody else, it has decided to start, when we schedule the show, sticking it under upcoming events. I have not told them to do that. I guess they just decided they don't want the show to be as easily found as it once was, because they don't do that to We Who Are Lost, only to the Road to Concord. Go figure. We told you. We'll keep telling you. We know as a fact that this program, we've caught the attention of somebody's AI at the very least. It's squelching us. We can see it in the real time with the numbers and the systems that we have that monitor our numbers. I mean, not that we're a big deal. Don't get me wrong. Just a nobody here. But that might be changing soon. Stick with me until later in the show. I have some announcements about the show programming. And there he is. Finally checking in there, Mr. Spikes. But I got a bit of an announcement toward the end of the show. Today, the title of the show is, I'm going to look the monster in the eye. Monster in the eye? What are you talking about, Joe? Well, monsters in the eyeball. These things. Ha! There he is, right in his little starry eyeball right there. The monster being reality. The reality of the world in which we find ourselves now. And the situation that we're currently in as a people. I am not happy with these things. And it is making life on my end of the camera challenging. So let's start here. I almost wore my Velociraptor shirt today. But for what comes later in the show, later in the program today, I figured I might as well just put my Dr. Evil shirt on. So that's what I'm wearing. He's liable to show up at any given moment. Have you run into, let's go here, let's start right here. Have you run into any of these posts or blogs or whatever, this stuff that's trying to tell you that objective reality doesn't exist? We're going to do a show just on this in the future, a philosophy show. But there are quantum scientists, quantum physics, things like this, people, scientists trying to tell us that perception is not fixed. Reality is not fixed. We create reality by our perception. There are, it's all based on a fairly well-known experiment they did. And when we get to this show, this specific show, I'll deal with it in detail then. But this is based on some flawed thinking, in my opinion. I could be missing something. I could be unaware of some important information, or I might not be understanding it the way they do. But I think it's based on flawed thinking, because I don't think they understand the nature, the meaning of objective reality. Objective reality must exist. It has to. That's self-evident. When Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am," he proved that objective reality exists. The problem is the true nature, what that objective reality is, what it looks like, how it functions. That is what we may not be able to know. But we don't create reality, our existence, by the way we perceive it, like some people are claiming today. Now, why is this important to today's subject? It's got everything to do with today's subject. If I can convince enough people that reality doesn't exist and that they create it themselves, what have I told you before? If you can create reality, you're claiming to be a god. So that's what I think is going on here, is it's deception, it's confusion, it's babble. And it's on the rise in our world. So I happen to believe that objective reality it exists. There is a thing called objective reality. The essence or the being of this world in which we exist is real, and it's knowable, but by us, by human beings trapped in our part of this existence, what we can know of it is limited. So our perception of reality, our understanding of reality, the way we conceive of it is skewed. It's in part based on ignorance, not stupidity, ignorance. We don't know what we need to know to figure out what's possible to know. That didn't make sense, Joe. Yeah, it does. We don't know what parts or pieces of the puzzle we're missing that are necessary to put the picture together. And it's not possible to know what pieces of that puzzle that may be available to us. It's not possible to know what's missing. Okay, that makes you omnipotent, knowing everything. We don't. We're not omnipotent beings. So even if some of these pieces are available to us, like with me talking about that experiment that they say, see, reality is caused by looking at it. No, we'll get to that in another show coming up real soon. Not necessarily. Okay, there are several other possible explanations. One of them even includes string theory for what they're actually observing that would shoot down their whole claim that reality is created by perception. And that would be because maybe they haven't thought about the things I'm looking at. Well, I may not be aware of some of the things these people are looking at. Ignorance. We just don't have all the pieces of the puzzle. It could also be our skewed perception of reality can also be created by our inability to perceive all of reality. And what do I mean by that? Well, dark matter. We can't see it, but we know it's there. Well, that's probably because it exists in other dimensions. If you have just 4 spatial dimensions in this universe, and we can only perceive 3 spatial dimensions, height, width, and depth, well, then we won't be able to see that dark matter. What happens if there are 6 spatial dimensions? Well, things get really complicated then. Again, that's for another show. The point is that our senses may not be able to perceive the true existence of reality. And then even when we do perceive it, our perception could be skewed, or our interpretation of what we saw could be skewed. This is why if 5 people witness a traffic accident from 5 different perspectives, they usually have 5 different tellings of what happened. And investigators have to put them together and figure out what really happened as best they can. And even then, it's a guess. It's because this is part of what we're getting at. It's not that your eyes recorded the images incorrectly or that your ears recorded the sounds incorrectly, but your mind might not have understood them as they truly are, or truly were. That's a phenomena of individuals. And it could be skewed by a various number of things. You might perceive it correctly one day and not the next. There are also tricks of lighting in perspective that can skew our perception. And then there's lack of critical examination. So even if we have all the pieces of the puzzle and we know that we've perceived them correctly, we might still misunderstand the reality because we haven't thought about it. What does it mean? How does it work? This is all aspects of human nature. It's built into us, its limitations. It's because we are limited beings. We're limited in our ability to know things because of our senses, because of our limited cognitive abilities, and it's also going to limit our ability to understand. And that's both because of cognitive ability or because of maturity or situation or will. I'm capable of considering a lot of things. You are. You're capable of considering a lot of things, but do we sit down and do it? No. So if we're not going to sit down and try to understand what we're seeing and what it means about reality, well, then our perception of reality is skewed. Why am I going here? What's with all of this? The point is, things are not always as they appear to be. But we like to make safe assumptions. And what we should be doing is recognizing that what we think is true most likely isn't, or at least not completely true. And this should humble us. It seldom does, but it should humble us. Too few people arrive at this understanding. It didn't used to be that way. There used to be more people in our culture, our society, that understood these things. But today we don't. We think we can know everything and that we already do. And we let our technology fool us. And we're becoming the people in the movie Wall-E. We're all going to ride around big old fat hippopotamuses on hover chairs because we can't walk no more. Incapable of doing anything. Idiocracy was meant to be a satire, a movie of satire, but it's turned into a documentary. So our ability to perceive this world and our willingness to work on that gets in our way of understanding what's going on around us, and it blinds us. It gets in the way of us being able to see correctly. And then once we can't see things correctly, we make poor choices. We don't act correctly. Science, real science, true science, the scientific method, was created by men and women who were looking to better understand the workings or the mind of the creator by better understanding his creation and how it functions, how it works. Now we use science to see how we can manipulate that creation, or better yet, how we can justify our desires and say, see, science says we can do these things. A man can become a woman. All we have to do is a little bit of surgery and some hormones, and now you're a woman. Wrong answer. By definition, you have not become a woman, and a woman has not become a man. You now have a psychological problem called, body dysmorphia, at the very least. Of course, now we can say that there's nothing wrong with you. You do not have a mental problem by just changing the definitions and saying that body dysmorphia is no longer a mental problem. This is part of what I'm saying about how we think we can manipulate reality. We haven't manipulated reality at all. We've just sunk into a delusion that we can be as gods. We now think that we can know right from wrong and everything that we perceive, and we can be as the Most High, the Creator. Now, I have a sociology degree. That makes me a scientist. And I realize that it's just a tool. Science is a tool. I understand how to use it more properly than the average person. It is not going to reveal any divine, ultimate, once and for all truth to me. But it will help me. It will provide me with a lattice work by which, if I follow it properly, will help me to better understand the world in which I live, specifically societies and cultures, in a more consistent and coherent manner. So I'm looking at the state of our society today. And I'm wondering, literally, do we even have a society anymore. Webster's. You know, we like this dictionary because it's the Founding Fathers dictionary. Society. It's a noun from the Latin societas, or from socius, a companion. It means the union of a number of rational beings. Stop. You want us to look up the definition of rational? I don't think we want to look that definition up, because we're going to find out that a great many of us who think we're rational don't meet the definition of rational. Okay, so the definition of a society is the union of a number of rational beings or a number of persons united either for a temporary or permanent purpose. Thus, the inhabitants of a state or of a city constitute a society having common interests, and hence it is called a community. In a more enlarged sense, the whole race of family of man is a society and is called human society. The true and natural foundation of society are the wants and fears of individuals, not social groups, not races, not social classes based on economic status, not classes based on their mental problems or based on their desires. It's based on the fears of individuals, the wants and fears of individuals. And then number two, any number of persons associated for a particular purpose. They have to be there for a purpose, whether incorporated by law or only united by articles of agreement. It's a fraternity. Those who have Bible societies for various objects, societies for mechanics, and learned societies, societies for encouraging arts, etc., etc. So, is ours still a society? I would say not by definition, no. If at best we're a balkanized society, we're a conglomerations of individual societies, little smaller societies, sub-societies fighting for dominance over each other now. That's not a nation, folks. That's balkanization. That's how you destroy a nation. And that's what I'm seeing. I'm looking at the monster now, and I'm starting to see balkanization. I'm seeing societal decay. And I'm wondering why, what's the purpose, and how did it happen? What's the source? What's the origin of this societal decay? Well, I know that we don't have union or cohesion or agreement amongst our country anymore. Not even in our society, in our local communities. There's no commonality. We don't have a common language. We don't have common culture. We don't have a common religion. We don't even have a common political ideal. So let me very seriously, when you say you want to save the nation, what exactly do you mean? What do you mean by that? What are you trying to save? My middle son came to me this week with a question. It's a question about religion. And he couldn't articulate it very well. And he recognized that. And in the middle of the conversation, he said, let me think more about what it is I'm actually trying to ask and how to better express it. I have to be careful with this, son. He can be more like I was when I was younger. He can be testy. He's still full of pride and arrogance. Not that I'm not, just that I finally am aware of it. So I was tiptoeing a little bit with him, and I told him, I said, one of the most important lessons I was ever taught in philosophy school is that answers are easy. Asking the right question is the difficult part. If you ask the question that'll get to what you really want to know, the answer is what you actually want to know, asking the question answers itself most times. So I'm going to ask, what are you trying to save? Is it America? Is it the land? Is it the society? Is it the culture? Is it America as our founding? Is it America as our progressives have turned to say? What are you trying to save? Because like whenever you hear somebody in politics saying, we got to save our democracy, Trump is ruining our democracy, they're not wrong. They're not. Well, we're not a democracy, Joe. They think we are. And they have been trying to make the United States into a democracy for over 100 and something years now. And they think, by and large, they've succeeded in doing this. Why do they want a democracy as opposed to a republic? Well, for one thing, a democracy is easier to manipulate and to seize power in. It doesn't matter how you vote, as long as I get to be the one that counts those votes. We've seen this in recent years. I'll count all of these votes, but not those. Why not? Well, because those I know are mine. I put them in there. They're fake. Those over there, well, those are votes that came from overseas, from the United States military. And I know that the bulk of them are going to vote for my opponent. So we're going to throw them out, even though they're legal. And we're going to count these over here, even though they're illegal, because all votes must count. But over there on the ones I got rid of, well, they don't count because they're illegal. Wait a minute. Yeah, exactly. Now you've got an inconsistent practice of voting going on. That's democracy. That is always democracy. And even if you get the voting where you know 100% sure that the vote count is right, now you have the tyranny of the masses, where 51% of the people, got 100 people in my little group were voting, and 51 of the people happen to be male and 49% happen to be female. And we're going to vote on whether or not you can say no to a sexual advance. Well, you better hope you have principled men there. Otherwise, ladies, you're in trouble. Or what if we decide I have 100 people and 10 of them are white, 90 of them are black, and we're going to vote on whether or not it's legal to have slavery based on the color of your skin. Given the prevailing attitudes in our country right now, slavery is all of a sudden going to be okay because it's deserved, because of what happened in the past. Certain group of people deserve to be punished. Well, they didn't commit the crime, but they deserve to be punished anyway. Why? See, that's what I'm getting at. To what ideal do we now adhere? What are you trying to save? And I am intentionally jumping on hot button items on purpose. If you're going to get emotional about this, you're part of the problem. You are not a rational being. Remember, the definition of a society was a group of rational beings. So if I can make you irrational, I can destroy society by doing that, nothing but. Oh, exactly like what our public schools do today. Produce irrational beings. Take away their reasoning ability and create drones that react however the media tells them to. That's irrational. Case in point, what do we mean by pursuit of happiness? Are we trying to conserve that? Well, if I asked most Americans today, that would mean the right to do what I want to do, what makes me happy. That is not what the founding ideal meant. The founding ideal meant the right of conscience, the right to pursue what you think of as the moral and virtuous life. We're going to get to morality and in ethics and virtue and principles, all of that stuff in the near future as well. But the founding fathers, they saw this as a legal principle. It was written into the English common law. You can go to Sir William Blackstone's commentaries on the English common law, which was a legal document in the United States at the time of our founding and should still be, but isn't. It should be a document that helps guide our judiciary and its decisions on how common law matters should be handled. But, that would actually tie their hands, which is something that nobody wants to do anymore. We don't want to be bound to something. So we're all trying to preserve our own idea of what needs to be preserved because we're all our own little gods. And this is the monster I'm starting to realize. Is we're not balkanized by conservatives and liberals or conservatives and progressives. We're not even balkanized according to conservatives and socialists and communists. We're not balkanized between Christian and non-Christian. We're balkanized between me and you and our neighbor and the rest of your classmates. There's no union in anything anymore. The founding fathers understood the right of conscience and the pursuit of happiness. Well, Joe, that's not in the Bill of Rights. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are born equal with the inalienable rights. Well, Joe, that's the Declaration of Independence. That's not the Constitution. Exactly. The founding fathers knew and said that the Declaration is the founding document of this country and a legal document. It is our ideal, our target. It is the what and the why of this nation. And yet, how many people know that today? Who is trying to preserve the principles espoused in the Declaration of Independence? There's a reason that the progressives instinctively knew that they had to separate these two documents. Well, the Constitution is secular. It's not religious. You hold on to that idea of secularity. We're going to get back to it. But wrong. Because the Constitution was never supposed to be divorced from the Declaration. And the Declaration is wholly, quote unquote, religious. And the Founding Fathers connected religion to morality. They said that the one is not possible without the other. You cannot have morality without religion. So we have, as a country, balkanized. And this issue of religion is a big one. This is where the monster hides. I told you we'd get back to this idea of secular. There is no such thing as secular. There is no such thing as an atheist or a non-believer. Does not exist by definition. Whatever you worship is your religion. How you worship is just the cultic traditions of your religion. But whatever you worship, that is your religion. So back to the definition of worship. I don't want the noun. I want the verb, transitive verb. Whatever you adore, pay divine honors to reverence with supreme respect and veneration. Their example is, thou shalt worship no other God, Exodus 34:14. But if you respect it, honor it, treat it with civil reverence, that's worship. To honor with extravagant love or extreme submission as a lover, that's worship. To whatever you bend your knee, whatever you bend your will, to whatever you look at, to provide your sustenance, your protection, your guidance, whatever informs your world, you worship. So the atheist is telling you, I don't believe in the creator. They believe only in themselves. They worship self. So does the libertarian. So does the sovereign citizen. You are worshipers of self. You think you are your own God. So you're a secular humanist. Well, now you think man is his own God. Man as a collective being, a single entity, humankind treated as a person, a personification. What you're actually saying there is, not only are you your own God, you're the God over all humanity. Because you're the one who's just made all of humanity into one person, and you, by instinct, it's just included, it's inherent in the idea, you are the God of that one human being. Because you've created this situation. There's no such thing as secular. We all worship. It is built into the nature of humanity. It cannot be changed. By definition, the definition of worship says that we will worship something or someone. We can't even agree on what to worship anymore. And then if we do, what religion? The problem that we have now is that this nation has lost its moral anchor. Nothing is holding us in place. We are adrift in a stormy sea. And by that, I mean we've lost our principles. The principles are not what they were anchor you, but they're not what helps you find your direction. You find your direction with a compass. But as soon as you've lost your moral anchor, your principles, then you lose your moral compass in the process. Then there's no way to find your way back. Now you can't find your direction again. You're lost on that stormy sea. No anchor, no compass. You're going to become shipwrecked. You're going to die. That's where our nation is. We have no, what are we going to conserve? What are the progressives looking for? What is their ideal? I hear a lot about why to hate Trump, but I never hear anything about what the progressive ideal is. Well, we love people, Joe. We're tolerant. Really? Really? Well, you're using a different definition of love and ideal and toleration than I've ever run across. What are we trying to conserve? Are you starting to see the monster yet? I see it clearly. I'm looking him right in his eyes. I see him. Do you? You see him yet? Hold on. We'll get to it. We claim the heritage of our founding fathers, or at least most of this audience, I'm assuming, does. We all know how to spell assume. but I'm assuming that most of us here would think of ourselves as conservatives. I would love for this class to be constituted nothing but liberals today. I would love for liberal, progressive-minded people to be listening to this today, to actually turn on their brain and listen. But the problem with that is, if you are a modern-day progressive or liberal, you're not rational. You're not a rational being. That's part of the definition now. You're irrational. Even if you're thinking and you think you're using logic, you're not right reasoning. And if you're not right reasoning, I don't mean right as in the political right. I mean right as in the logical idea of right, correct use of reason. Reason guided by wisdom. Well, Joe, I am doing that. That's why I'm a communist. Oh, well, you're not guided by wisdom then. You're guided by what you think is wisdom. You're guided by your own hubris. But fear of the creator is the start of wisdom. And if you have no fear of a creator to whom you will answer in the future, that's not wisdom. Look in the definitions. It's what the founding fathers said. So you're not going by the founding fathers' ideal. It's even what Marx would have said about communism. He had his own idea of where wisdom started himself. The reflection in his mirror was his source of wisdom. So we claim, most of us, I'm assuming, claim the founding fathers and the conservative ideal. We claim the Constitution. Some even claim the Declaration of Independence. Then how come you can't agree on those principles? It's very easy to find out what the founding fathers were trying to do, what they intended. This book right over there, Bill of Rights, and then Madison's notes on the Constitutional Convention. Those two books right there will tell you everything. The white one and the one next to it. And then Joseph Story's commentaries on the Constitution. They'll tell you everything the founders were trying to do and why and how. We can't read that. Can't try to figure that out. Why? There's two reasons you won't do that. They're both connected. One, you're lazy. Yeah, I know. Well, Joe, I'm too busy. No, you're not. No, you're not. You have time for that which you deem to be most important. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to my reflection. I know that I can find time for those things I think are most important. So can you. So I will not excuse you, and I do not expect you to excuse me. We have a duty to each other if we want to be part of a community. And part of that duty is to understand the founding principles and ideals, the ideal and the principles, the compass and the principles that are supposed to help us navigate by that compass, stay on course. Well, when we don't maintain our duty to each other or to ourselves or to our family in the process, then we have no right to criticize anybody because we are a traitor to that community, to that ideal, to that society, to that nation. So we claim the founders' heritage, but we won't bother to learn it or to understand them. They left us tens of hundreds of thousands of pages explaining what they believed and why. But I'll tell you the other reason we don't do it. Subconsciously, we realize it would require us to submit to their ideal, the ideal that they used by which they achieved their liberty and constructed this country. We don't want nothing to do with that. What's their ideal? Well, for one, the general principles on which the founding fathers achieved independence were the general principles of Christianity. Those principles upon which all Christians could agree. Now, I will avow that I then believed and now believe that those general principles of Christianity are as eternal and immutable as the existence and attributes of God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of the Bible. Immutable, cannot be changed, inherent, they're part of the world. This is John Adams from a letter addressed to Thomas Jefferson on June 28, 1813. He's the Atlas of the Revolution, a very principled man, and he is telling us that without the general principles upon which every denomination must agree to be called Christian, without that general principle, the United States would have never been formed as a nation. Now, we could try other principles. We could try the principles of Marx, the principles of Woodrow Wilson, Theodore Roosevelt, FDR, but we're not going to get liberty from that. We could try Hegel. We could try Nietzsche. But we're not going to get liberty from that. We're not going to get a free country from that. Why is that? Founding Fathers again. The first Supreme Court Justice of the United States of America. I wonder what he would think of our current Supreme Court. This is John Jay. No human society has ever been able to maintain both order and freedom, both cohesiveness and liberty, apart from the moral precepts of the Christian religion applied and accepted by all the classes. Should our republic ever forget this fundamental precept of governance, men are certain to shed their responsibilities for licentiousness, and this great experiment will then surely be doomed. Have we forgotten our duties and responsibilities in favor of licentiousness, hedonism, self-worship, self-satisfaction, gratification? I say yes. I say we have. I say we have forgotten the founding principle of this nation. People ask me, Joe, what do we do? I keep telling you, go back to what the founders said works. You don't want to do that. Stop asking me. Many receive advice. Only the wise profit from it. Stop asking me what to do. If you don't want to hear the answer, go find another soothsayer to tickle your ears. That's not who or what I am. I'm a watchman on the wall. I'm willing to stand in the breach for you. And I will stand up into the king's court with the executioner right over my right shoulder and tell the king, it is unlawful for you to be married to that woman. I don't mind those things. They don't scare me. What I'm discussing today does. So that's John Jay and Adams. Both of them telling us how they built the country and what you have to do if you want to get it back. We have abandoned these things, and it has led to the collapse of our foundation. I want to show you some things here. It's the collapse of our foundation. Here's the first one. Tim Kaine said the idea that our rights come from God, not government, is extremely troubling. Ted Cruz has thoughts. Tim Kaine is not wrong from his perspective, because Tim Kaine thinks he is government and therefore a god. So what he's upset with is the idea that our rights come from the God of the Bible is extremely troubling. The idea that he is not a god is what bothers him. That's what that means. That is a break. That is a 180-degree reversal of our founding fathers' ideology, their ideal. This is Thomas Hobbes, not John Locke. Thomas Hobbes sounds good, but Thomas Hobbes says, once I have seized power, you must do what I tell you to do. You have no right or authority to change that government. You have a duty to submit to whoever's in power. And this is why Tim Kaine says we have seized power by building the deep state and taking over. And now nobody has a right to take the power away from us because we're gods and we give you what you can and cannot have. That's the Leviathan, the sea monster, the chaos monster, the dragon of the Bible. This is why Hobbes labeled it Leviathan. He saw government as Leviathan. Now, Hobbes is not worthless. Hobbes is very useful and worthwhile to read and understand, so long as you keep him centered and framed in his historical context. But there's a reason the founding fathers rejected him. Here's another one for you. Breaking. Obama judge says to hell with Supreme Court. Blocks Trump administration from canceling protected status for 11 million Venezuelans and Haitians. What's that got to do with anything? If you are not going to abide by your own religion, which is the Supreme Court is over all lesser courts, then why the heck would I expect that judge to abide by the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence, the ideals laid out in that, or by the creator of the universe, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? That's no longer a judge, but our courts are filled with these people. They're trashing the Supreme Court, saying you're overturning our rulings. That's not what a judge is supposed to do. They have become legislators, and they're admitting it openly now. You and I no longer live under a constitutional government. We live under the rule of law of the state of nature. It's everybody fighting for who can control the others. Our founding ideals are gone. It's the ultimate loss of our social contract. It's over with. If you want to have a country, a nation, you must have common ideals, common purposes, common thinking, a common creed. We'll get to that in a minute. I want to show you something else that's been in the news. This is related. This is part of the monster right here, folks. This is from the Blaze. It's from a line, The Lifestyle by Blaze, Spiritual Warfare. Is Burning Man demonic? By Nicole Shanahan. Oh my gosh. You should read this one. Natasha, would you mind putting that in the permanent notes on the Rumble for us? This story needs to be read. You see the picture of the Burning Man. Do y'all understand what that is? Do you know the history? I asked before the earlier in the show, I asked everybody, do you know what Burning Man is? This is it right here. Only that's Wicker Man. But that's a Burning Man. Burning Man today, the orgy that's held out in the desert, and yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's an orgy, which is derived from the Greek word, which means destruction. It comes directly from this. This is Burning Man is the remnants of a pagan practice. This is Wikipedia. It says a Wicker Man was purportedly a large wicker statue in which the Druids, priests of the Celtic paganism, sacrificed humans and sometimes animals by burning. They would build this huge representation of a human being out of wood with a hollow chest. They would lock humans in there and then they would sacrifice them. It says the primary evidence for this practice is a sentence by the Roman general Julius Caesar. They're trying to say that nowadays it's being discounted. Nobody believes it anymore. They think it's just a legend. Do you remember this book, Return of the Gods? Well, we're doing the exact same things today at Burning Man that they did in the ancient times before the pagan gods were defeated by the Christian world. And paganism was chased from daily life. And before that happened, when the world was still under the control of pagan gods, you didn't have a free market. You didn't have a middle class. You didn't have individual rights and liberty. You didn't have rule of law. These are all principles that come from the nation of Israel under Moses. And they're all principles that the founding fathers pointed to as being found in the ancient scriptures, the Bible, the Old Testament. And they wrote all of these principles into our Constitution and Declaration. The idea that you had Saturday and Sunday off from business, that was to make sure you covered both Sabbaths, Jewish and Christian alike. The idea of bankruptcy. Every 7 years you can declare bankruptcy. That's directly related to the Shemitah. All of these principles are in your Bible. Swearing an oath, that's in your Bible. The author, it'd say there's no biblical references in the Constitution. Are you kidding? That just tells me that you're ignorant of the Bible. You're biblically illiterate. You don't know anything about it. Our founding fathers, that you would have had a hard time finding a single member of the colonies that didn't have some working knowledge of the scriptural teachings. It was very rare. The founding fathers called atheists infidels. A non-believer was an infidel in the exact same way that Muslims call everybody who's not a Muslim an infidel. And the founding fathers said that they considered them to be enemies of God and of society. And yet today, no problem. We celebrate Burning Man. We think it's great. We've got all these funky stories on the news about what all they're doing there. It's a pagan, cultic ritual of orgy and sacrifice. It is a return of a god, a false god. So is the LGBT community. So is our worship of money and profitable gain, material gain. So is our practice of abortion. So is this trafficking of human beings into the sex slavery. That is the same goddess that governs the LGBT community. These gods have returned. I know science says they're not real anymore. Good luck with that. Go read that book, Return of the Gods, and tell me there's nothing there. Oh my gosh. Good luck. You're going to have a hard time making that case with me. So where am I today? I'm looking the monster right in the eyeballs, and I'm thinking, what am I to do? Well, if this is related to religion, because we all worship, the first thing I'm going to tell you is this. I'm going to go to the Exodus. After the Exodus, after the desert, when they're entering the homeland. Now, if you are unwilling to serve Yahweh, choose this day whom you will serve, whether the gods of your ancestors served in the region beyond the river or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living. But as for me and my household, we will serve Yahweh. Joshua 24:15. The founding fathers chose Yahweh. They were rewarded with this nation. As we turned away, we have fallen away from grace, and we have exceedingly suffered the consequences. We were given a last warning on 9/11, and we ignored it. Now we're under judgment, just like they were back in those days. We don't listen, and we don't learn anything. We're a stiff-necked people, as stiff-necked today as we were back then. Well, why did I read that passage from Joshua? Well, because it reminds me of this cartoon by Benjamin Franklin, Unite or Die. He meant for the states to unite to stand as a commonwealth, a united front, or they would die, literally, at the hands of the king. Well, I'm telling you now, you had better unite under a common ideal, or we will surely die, spiritually and or physically. Could be both. You ask me what we do. Start by deciding what it is you're trying to preserve or save. And then bend your knee to the ideal behind it. If you want to be a secular humanist, bend your knee to Marx or to fascism, which would be Mussolini. Well, actually, it would be progressivism. It would be Woodrow Wilson and Teddy Roosevelt. The world's first fascist leader was one of those two men, probably Wilson. Because if you look up at the definitions, or if you go back to some of our classes, we've explained this to you. So bend your knee to those leading ideals and principles. If you believe in libertarianism, bend your knee to your own God, the reflection in the mirror. If you believe in atheism, same thing. Bend your knee to your own God, the reflection in the mirror. Because if you're not going to bend your knee to the source of the liberty of this country, which is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, then everything else you do, you bend your knee to the monster, to the beast. Whether it is you, whether it is the idea of atheism, which is still you, whether it's the idea of the sovereign citizen, which is still you, or whether it's the idea of a false god, no matter what you do, you're worshiping the beast, which is the dragon, which is Satan. That's the beast. And a great many people today are very willing to tell you what the problems are. but they will not face the beast eye to eye, look it straight in its eye, and say, oh crap, that's my reflection. The beast that we have today, the biggest problem we have in the United States of America today, is in your mirror and mine. Oh, don't get me wrong. No, don't you dare get me wrong. I know, I'm well aware that I'm the biggest problem I have, and I'm one of the biggest problems for the people around me, because I know better and I do not do the things I should be doing. I do the things I do not want to do. So I have a question for you. How's your spiritual warfare going? Because if you think that that's got nothing to do with why the country is in such chaos and disarray, then you just don't understand the problem. And if you don't understand the problem, you don't have a hoot and tanny's chance in a holler of being able to fix it. And if you and I can't unite, then we have no chance of fixing it. In which case, we're already lost. Charlie.
Yeah. I think yeah. I wonder who gave that to you. It was good though.
Yeah, I was given a plaque. I found it after teaching or sermon or something the other day in our congregation. It says, "Oh Lord, fill my mouth with worthwhile stuff and nudge me when I've said enough." And I think he uses a 4x4 on me. But I think I've said what I need to say. So, you have anything to add to this, Charlie?
No, but it's that is the solution. The only problem with that solution is there is very, 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 very few that will take that solution and put it into action.
Now, lest anybody think I'm making this up, I bent my knee to this solution because I went to John Adams and he told me this is a solution. I went to John Quincy Adams and he told me that this is the solution. I went to Samuel Adams. He told me this is the solution. I went to Madison. Yes, Madison. I went to Franklin. Yes, Franklin. He told me. I went to Thomas Jefferson. Yes, he told me. I went to Patrick Henry. Yes, he told me. John Jay told me. Gouverneur Morris told me. Noah and Daniel Webster told me. Joseph Story told me. How many more founding fathers do you want me to name? Benjamin Rush. He definitely told me. So I said, okay, you guys did it. I'll bend my knee to what you proved to me works. Why do we have such a hard time getting conservatives to get this through their thick skulls? I know the answer. Because you're not trying to preserve the founding ideal. You're trying to preserve your side of the fascist bird, the right wing. That's what you've been trying to preserve, and you may not even know it. But it's the truth.
But it sounds good.
A lot of things sound good, but they lead to hell.
Yeah.
Now, the good news is, there is good news. We have at least 2 examples in history. If you do these things, you will be rewarded with what you seek. But we have to, as a nation, repent, in other words, quit living our way, and seek his face, which is Hebrew way of saying seek his way. And then he'll heal us. if we do those things as a nation, which means at the leadership level. And if your nation won't do that, then it's time to talk to your governors about seceding. And I'm as serious as a heart attack about that. It's time for the states to either kick certain states out of the union or secede from the union. Otherwise, they're going to drag those of us who still bend our knee to the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob down with them, simply because they cannot break free of the normalcy bias and recognize the spirit of the age and the signs of the times in which we live.
You mean something like put away the evil amongst you? Yeah, there's a book that talks about that. Yeah. Actually
But
tells you
that's
to do
exactly
that.
why it started with ending the death penalty, and it's ending now with, you killed somebody on the bus? That's okay. She was white. You're black. You're oppressed. I'll let you go free without any bail. And then talk to me about the evils of racism. If racism is evil, it doesn't matter what color your skin is. Judging and treating somebody differently based on that color is supposed to be evil. But if you're going to turn it to a get back atomism, then you're proving to me there was nothing wrong with racism at all. You were just upset about being in the minority that was enslaved.
There's a book that talks about judges and saying that you're not supposed to give, preferable judgment to the poor or the needy or the afflicted, and you're
A
supposed to
book?
judge
No.
righteously.
That's
Yeah.
in the Constitution. Or
Well,
didn't you
it's
know
in
that?
there
Well, it's
too.
in the Bill
Well,
of
yeah, it's
Rights.
there too. Yeah, but where
And an
did they
equal,
get it from?
they got it directly from the book that
From
said you're not
the other book.
supposed. Their words, not mine. This is where we're going to leave you for today. Short, sweet, to the point. Well, sort of kind of short. Not 2 hours today, 1 hour. That's all I have. I'm talked out. And you know what? I'm going to put him on the spot. Let Charlie say goodbye to y'all today, because I might say something I shouldn't. It's Charlie?
Oh my. Well, yeah, and I don't even know what you're doing on Wednesday, so let's see here.
Oh, criminy crip crap. You just reminded me. I don't know what I'm doing on Wednesday except the grand overview, but you did remind me. Things have gone on in the background, and I'll be talking to Charlie about it very shortly. We may actually be able to go back to doing the Road to Concord Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday.
Oh, yeah, you need to talk about that.
Yes,
here, let me get out of here just for a
he rooked himself. I'll do the say away, goodbyes and everything, because I'm in a different mindset now. But yes, look, my wife and I, BB, have been doing some structuring. I've got to find something else to do with my life, other than being a worthless bump on a log. But I got to find a way to serve my fellow man. I don't know that I can do that here. I don't know that you actually want to listen to me long term every day, whatever. But this is one thing I do have. And we've had some success with the book we wrote and published on Amazon. I've got a lot more that I should be writing. I need to get to work on that. We have a lot more things that we can get back to teaching the principles here on the Road to Concord. Go back to teaching Tuesdays and do the political Manic Mondays, because people like that, especially when I'm Dr. Evil having my heart attacks. I don't know what we would do on Thursdays, but I know that some of y'all like it when I get philosophical. Some of you like it when I talk about different dimensions and things like this. You like it when I do the conspiracies. So Thursday might be a grab bag thing. I have no idea. But it looks like by the end of this week, I'll make a decision on this. But it looks like next week, you might be back to 5 shows a week. Whether or not you're going to watch them, that's all on you. Cough, cough, conspiracy Thursday. Cough. Natasha likes those days. We could talk about Bigfoot on Thursdays. Might even get T-Rex to come back if we talk about Bigfoot. But I'm thinking I can get us back there. The key is going to be, is that something that you want? Is that something the audience would like? Send us an email if it's something that you think you'd be willing to do. It's not going to make my decision for me, but those of you who have been regular members of the show for the last 3 years or so, would you want to have it back to 3 days a week with the Road to Concord and the 2 days a week We Who Are Lost? I do want a little bit of feedback on that. just so that I have an idea of whether or not I'd be wasting my time and effort here. Don't want to throw pearls before swine. But at the same time, it's something I'm feeling led to do. And if I do it this time, I'm actually going to do it. The blogging will be kept up on a daily basis. That's where you'll find most of the political content. I'll take a story and frame it and show you how I'm looking at it, a principled founder's ideology way of looking at things, what we should worry about with these stories, what they mean, what they imply. We'll teach philosophy, we'll teach logic, we'll get back into these things, start teaching how to think again, not what to think, but how to think, how to stand up for yourself. The egghead things that none of us wanted anything to do with when we were in school because they were hard, because they required work, because they just weren't interesting to us. Well, a lot of us are adults now, and we might find it more interesting than we did as kids. I'm thinking I'm going to spend maybe one very hard, dedicated year to seeing if I can't make that work. Let's see if you'll help us do it. All right.
And
Charlie.
as part of that, not only will you watch it, but will you support it? And that doesn't necessarily mean financially, but that's part of this.
Yeah.
But
Will you
if
hit the thumbs up buttons? Will you do reviews
Yep.
for us? Will you spread the
And
links?
do you know businesses that are like-minded, that their owners or whatever shareholders, kind of are in this vein? Would they support this through advertising and things like that? Because in order for this to work, hate to say it, but we need income to do this, because basically what Joe's talking about, he probably won't say this on air, but I'm going to. He needs to replace the income from his current job. He's turning into a buggy whip company, and he needs something different, but he's got to have an income in there to at least, meet his daily needs as well. So that's what we're actually going to try to do. We're going to try to monetize the Road to Concord. We won't do that with We Who Are Lost. That's why we separated this. That's part of why we separated the shows out. This show is, political and teaching and, things like that. And we have no problem monetizing that. So those are the kind of things we need feedback on and support from you viewers out there. And, hopefully this will grow and get to a level that he can replace his current income and either, put his buggy whips on ice or just keep them rolling, as much as he can.
Just something to think about, food for thought. It's got nothing to do with me. You can extrapolate it to me in this show if you want. But if you have never been behind the scenes on people who do talk radio or TV shows or blog posts like this, the better ones, the ones who are actually producing content material that's worth consuming, for every 30 minutes you get on air, you probably got a couple of hours in the background that they had to put that together.
Yeah. Yeah. For each hour, you've got at least 2 hours of prep, at least minimum. That's minimum. Many times much more.
Even as good as I am at throwing things together, and I know I'm bragging here, but if you've never seen me do it, Charlie's been in the room while I was doing it.
He can do it. I've seen him.
And it still took a while.
Yeah, yeah. But the fact of that matter is you can only do that because you've done the work beforehand to draw from that.
Yes.
So even though the work isn't being done right this minute, you have put that work in, and that's the way it works. I mean, that's I could get in my We Who Are Lost. In fact, I just noticed that I still have my wrong email up here for this show, but that's the way, the Holy Spirit works too. It only brings to remembrance the things that you've already studied. At least that's the way I understand it.
That's the way the scriptures seem to understand it too. Even the prophets, the reason they have divine revelation, they get to see the things. Nothing just poops into their head without being taught.
Yes.
And then even then, their visions wouldn't mean anything if they hadn't studied the scriptures and had that under their belt already.
Yeah, so that they understand the context, right?
They wouldn't have even been obedient enough to be chosen to be given the vision.
Right.
So, all right. Well, that's where we're at. I think it's kind of exciting because I have yet to really, and it may not seem like this to you all. I know I talk and I waffle back and forth. I have never really focused on this show yet. I have never gotten serious about trying to make this show viable and stand up. That's what I'm talking about now. Actually as professional as we can make it, as serious as I can get in it, I'm thinking about pouring my heart and soul into it the way I did when I started my business. And my wife is behind it. But if it's not holding its own within 12 months, she's going to want me to pull the cord on that and find something else to do for the rest of my life. I think we're going to start on a venture, y'all and I, those who want to go on it with us. We don't necessarily need your money. I mean, we'd like to have it, but if nothing else, hit the like buttons if you like it.
Yep. Share.
Leave comments where you can. Share comments in the feed. Help us. Yep. We have got to get serious about the part I absolutely hate. I do not like self-promotion because I am a recovering narcissist. Yahweh sent me Charlie. He handles a lot of that. I'm not necessarily the best when it comes to numbers and figures, with money side of things. He'll help with that, I have no doubt. Hopefully, Yahweh may send us somebody who will help us with the promotional side of this. I can do that. I've done that with my business. I don't like doing it here because I'm the product. And I don't like that. But at the same time, I did a very serious reflection this last weekend. And it's a fire's hot, water's wet comment, folks. I was made in such a way to do things that the average person cannot, no matter how hard they try.
Yep.
They can't. They weren't made that way. It's not. You were made to do the job that the Lord wants you to do. I was made in a way to do something that I think I've been resisting. I've been Jonah too long. Now it's time to stick my hand in the air and say, here am I, Lord. Send me. Put me in the breach. So that's what I think we're probably going to start next Monday. As seriously as I've ever done before. Still try to have fun along the way. So we'll either grow this audience or I'll chase off the last of you. I don't know which. We'll find out.
Yeah. Most businesses fail in the first year, so that's the test. We'll see.
Well, we have been here for 3 now.
We have. I mean, for what this show is and what we have done, I'm pretty proud of what we've done, even though our viewership is fairly minimal.
We're never going to be huge.
We're never going to be huge, but I hope that we can at least get to the point where, when we talked numbers and stuff a little bit before the show. I think those numbers are achievable, even with the small audience that
they're modest.
We can.
We're not looking
together.
Yeah,
we're not trying to become millionaires here, but but the fact of the matter is, this is work, and we need to, we got to have money to live in this world.
Before we sign off, I'm going to leave you with one last thought. If you are already donating to this show, I am not talking to you. I'm not. You can just sit back and listen.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for all of you that do donate.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And we do send thank you notes to y'all from time to time to let you know we're still aware of you.
Yeah.
If you
we wouldn't be here without you.
If you listen to us on a regular basis, I want you to think, am I John Galt or am I Wesley Mooch? Because if you are here saying you're here because of the founding ideologies of this country, and you're willing to take the work product of this show without being willing to donate something in return, you're Wesley Mooch. Because in Galt's Gulch, they won't even take a free cigarette without giving you something in return. Because they do not want to accept the fruit of your labor for free, even if you want to give it to them. Now that's an extreme. That's Ayn Rand's extreme. Yeah. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's time to go read or watch or listen to on Audible Ayn Rand's. And you don't want to watch the 3 movies. That they're not going to do that well. You want the book.
Yeah, the movies are okay, but the book is much.
You want
much better.
The book.
Yeah.
And we'll cover that again in the future. We'll cover lots of things in the future, but that's what I'm getting at with you. The person, the monster in the reflection in your mirror. Are you Wesley Mooch? Or you want to go live in Galt's Gulch? Are you willing to? And it's a quote right out of Franklin. people are like, I don't want to pay taxes on my property. I already paid for it. I shouldn't have to keep paying that every year. Well, then take your butt and go live with the savages because you don't want to pay your club to live in a civilized society. I paraphrased both Franklin and Jefferson just now. Why? Because you and I cannot own a piece of the earth. What you're paying taxes on is the support of the society that allows you to treat that piece of the earth as though it's your personal property. And that requires upkeep. That's what you're actually paying. And the people who argue otherwise show me an ignorance of what it takes to establish a society that can actually keep your property yours. What they're advocating is the Articles of Confederation, and that failed for that reason. You have got to get back to in the Bible, the land belongs to Yahweh. He only allows you to treat it as yours. And every 50 years, it's got to go back to the original owners.
It goes back to the original owners. Yep.
And they still had to deal with it. Like, how many years do I have left with this? That's all I can sell it for. I can't sell it for all 50 years if there's only 1 year left till the return. And it was both with the Jubilee and with the Shemitah.
Yep.
So when you pay property taxes, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for the system that allows you to treat that as yours without having to stand there on guard with a weapon all the daggone time.
Yep.
So if you want part of a civilized society, if you get a worthwhile benefit out of this show that you will spend your time to come here and listen to it, and we can't even get you to consider giving us a $5 cup of coffee every month. I'm not trying to browbeat you or strong arm you here, and I'm not trying to Olsen you into making, sending me all your money because that's the only way the word of God's going to get preached. No. What I'm telling you is if you want to see this show grow and maintain itself because you like watching it or listening to it, then we're asking you for that $5 a month. Help us grow the show. Not just so that I can afford to do 24/7 on the show only, but also so that Charlie's not doing it for free and Natasha's not doing it for free. And the numbers we're looking for are not that crazy. Trust me, they're not that out of reach. It's very modest and humble. We're not looking for huge numbers here. If we had an audience of 1,000 people that are donating at the rate that the people who are giving to us now currently do,
oh wow,
we'd have our goal. We'd be there.
Yeah, we'd be way over.
We'd be there.
We'd be set.
The Arctic Tortoise is going to have Patreon for monthly or different levels. Yes, very soon. Very soon. Matter of fact, if I decide this is what I'm doing, that starts next week. Patreon will do partnership buttons whenever we advertise a book that if you buy through our button, we'll get a little kickback from Amazon. We're going to start with merch, which people have asked us to do years ago when we first started the show. We'll do on-demand merchandising. Yes, it's a little more expensive, but it's because it's made one at a time as you order it, and you have to pay those people who are doing the one-offs. But we live in a world where that's a little more easy to do, and we'll find the most affordable source for this stuff. Combination of quality and value. But we're going to push out more books, and not just in the religious nature. I can do little short ebooks. That's how we're going to publish, but we can do short ebooks on founding principles of the country, of the nation.
Those would be
all good. The things that led us to the road to Concord. All of those things that the road to Concord was not just a physical road. It was the path of human history that led to Lexington Green on that day. There's a long path, and it goes all the way back to Moses and the Exodus. And it can be traced back to there. And I'll start showing you the books that trace it. I will actually get serious. I had one of our listeners, one of you all once told me that if you listen to this show, you are getting a college level education. And the gentleman who told me this is literally a nuclear scientist, PhD in nuclear physics, and he works for the Navy in that field. In other words, not a chump. He knows what he's saying when he tells you you're getting a college level education here. So we will provide that service. And all we're asking you for is to consider giving us a $5 cup of coffee once a month. Set it up.
A lot cheaper than college tuition.
So help us with that. Because if I have the time to do so, The blog can be set up so that not only are the shows organized where they're easier to reach and we can archive them in ways where little short descriptions tell you what's in it, but all of the blogging posts I've done, all the reference material, a bibliography, we can turn the 2 blog pages into very solid reference sources for you. So there we go. All right. I've run my mouth long enough. Charlie duped me into being a self-promoter, which I hate, but we're going to get going. Homework. No homework for right now. I have no idea what Yahweh is going to be giving me Wednesday, except that unless he intervenes, I'm going to give you a brief overview of the story of your Bible from Genesis 1:1 to the very last verse of the book of Revelation. And I'm going to show you that the story in your Bible is actually a bifided chiasm. The whole Bible is a bifid chiasm.
Ooh, yeah.
The story is told all the way up to the cross, and then it starts again and goes back to Eden.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Loss, 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 gain, 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 gain,
gain.
And
Yep.
if you want to see that proven to you, go read Jonathan Cahn's The Oracle.
Yeah, yeah.
You are back in the days of Noah, which tells you don't look for exact duplicates in time, look in patterns. And if you're back in the days of Noah, you are in the days right before the flood, where everybody does whatever the heck they feel like. And nobody is righteous because they've been turned over to their own depravity. That should give you an idea of where you're at right now. Charlie, do you see that big red thing on the Rumble page?
Yeah. We're taking care of it.
You're gonna have to help me figure that out later.
Yeah,
So,
well, we're taking care of it.
All right, 15 minutes about us. That's way more than I can handle. But we're gonna need your help. It's a partnership. And if you don't think that what we're doing here is worth that cup of coffee, we got it, we understand. Why do you show up? No. Don't take this wrong. Pay attention real quick. If this place is not worth that $5 cup of coffee every month, if what we're doing is not worth that, don't care about the money that you're giving us. Erase that. If you're watching, okay, to use a military term, if you're watching Joe Schmuckatelli's show every day, you're watching Joe Schmuckatelli, and he's not worth $5 of your time, why are you watching Joe Schmuckatelli's show? For you. You're wasting your time. Go watch somebody else. Go listen to somebody else that is worth your money. Because otherwise, even if it's just because, well, Joe Schmuckatelli entertains me, it's just good fun. If that's not worth $5 of your time, quit watching Joe Schmuckatelli's show. Quit watching any show. Quit watching the TV. If the TV is not worth $5 of your time every day, well, not every day, but in this case, $5 a month. If Fox News is not worth $5 a month, quit watching it. Don't put your time where it does not benefit you. Don't. And your money is your time. It's the product of your time, of your labor. So if we labor hours on a time to give you an hour or two's show every day, could you not labor back enough to give us $5 a month? Do you want to be with Wesley Mooch, or do you want to live in Galt's Gulch? You decide. I'm not going to do the regular out here. Just going to tell you, we'll see you Wednesday. Y'all take care of yourselves. Stay safe. And we'll see you then. And then hopefully next week, 5 days a week. Yahweh willing. Bye-bye.